started, I think. And he knows a little bit about everything and not much about anything. So he is going to do his best job of showing us how to turn a scoop out of a small piece of wood. Dogwood. We've got dogwood today. Anthony, take it over.
Is it up? Oh, boy. So should I tell the joke now or later? All right. I'm going to make scoops, or a scoop. First time I made this scoop, it's the only lathe class I ever took. It would have been late 90s, like so 98 or 99. Soren Berger was in town, and I went to see, and he made this scoop. And I remember I altered it a little bit. I don't think he actually showed it. He just talked about it, and then we made them. And so I altered it a little bit, and I couldn't quite get it to do what I wanted, and I kept trying to cut a little more off, and still wasn't quite what I wanted. I cut a little more off, and eventually it went away. So, and after that, I started making some scoops like that. I made 4 or 5 or 6 of them, and then, and I think I made a couple I liked. They weren't real good, too much handwork as far as I was concerned, and I think this is the result of that. And then about 10 years ago, I started making some more, and I thought about putting a little more of a crook in them. They were just a shoplifter. And I still didn't like it. I made some that I did like, and then they're all gone. I don't have any of them. I sold them. I used a, what do you call it? A cup chuck. And so you can see that this is where it came loose in the cup chuck, right? And so you see it's deeply burned here, not so much in the front or in the back. And that's because this isn't round. And so it's one of the worst things you can do with a cup chuck is not to have a round object and try to stick it in. And I don't know if you can also see I tried to turn the end of it while it was swinging around in a circle, which means you got a lot of angular momentum, which is another bad thing to do. So I made some more of them. I made some that I liked. I remember I used to have a bunch of them. I sold them all, I guess. All I've got are the failures left. And so then Avi Avicera, is that all right? Eli Avicera came, and he made some scoops, and I got to talk to him about it a little bit, and he said that he had taught Soren Berger. And so what had happened is he had taught Soren Berger had taught me, and then I met Eli, and so I got to see what his original scoop looked like. And I wanted a little more excitement. And so this is what I made. And they're a little more eccentric. And see, this is kind of like what I was trying to make when I was taking the class. I said I took them a little further. And I kind of prefer this shape a lot better. They aren't, some of them are functional and some of them aren't. I'm just going to stick them here. Well, I do have one that Mike repaired for me. Put a... And so this is the first, so when I started again a month and a half or so ago to make some more of them, this is what I made. And it's perfectly good scoop. It's real functional, but I don't like it. So here's the, here it is maybe. This is the extreme of non-function. The openings are too small. Maybe this is what you drink things out of instead of scoop with them. I finished them all with linseed oil. You're welcome to come look at them or I'll pass them around. Now, when I used to make scoops all the time, this is what I made. And this is a this is a goblet with, you cut the foot off and then slice the side off. And this is real functional. This is how my cats get their cat food. I think it's just about the only thing that I make that I actually use. And if you stop and think about it, what is this? Well, actually, it's a scoop, but I forgot to cut the side off. And this is a scoop that I forgot to cut the side off and still has a bottom on it. So, but it's still the same object. And I think I'm done talking. Is that all right? Okay. Oh, take them all here. Well, let me keep a few of them so I can talk about some other parts. Okay, this is dogwood. It's tree wood. It's dry. I'm a little worried about wormholes. Just one wormhole in the end. Okay, I don't think that's a problem. This is approximately 2 by 4. It's actually about a 1 7/8. I'm going to clean up the ends. I think I'm going to leave that one alone. And so I set my caliper for the diameter here. I'm leaving a little bit on the, no, it's got to be the camera above. The whole time it's going to be the camera above. I'm leaving a little bit of waste on the right-hand side so that the hole I'm punching in the bottom won't be show up in my scoop. And so that creates a my sphere. This isn't going to work here. And I'm going to mark so there's my sphere. I'm not going to try to finish the sphere in any way, shape, or form at this point, but I am going to mark it. I'm going to shape it a little bit. Okay, I'm going to reduce the size of my handle a little, and I'm also going to taper it. So what I'm creating is a truncated cone with a sphere on it. Okay? Oh, right in front of me. There we go. I'm going to be very, very careful when I mark the offsets here. Right about there, you think? And right about there. With a pencil. I drew a line that bisected the piece, and I drew. Well, I bisected it this way, and so that I just turned it and gauged just close. Yeah. You could do almost anything with this, I think. And I think it would be worth experimenting. Ooh, that was wrong. Okay. And I'm going to cut the inside of the handle. I like to be able to see it. You don't have to, but it's nice. Makes it easier, faster. It's important that you stay on the bevel. However, you cannot push hard. You cannot drive the bevel during your cut. $17.31. What? No. Talk to me. Oh, it's in the way?
Yeah, can I move it just a little bit?
Ooh, that looks cool. It's not very informative, though, is it? This is called spectral turning. Making pipes is the place where I really started to learn this eccentric turning. And so I've cut away the inside of the little handle. I think I'm going to just smooth it out and see what happens there. I'm up to 2,057 now. I don't think it really matters. You want to go fairly fast, though. Anytime you do eccentric turning, where you have that air to worry about, you want to go fairly fast. People that are taking the class, by the way, you have the opportunity to do this one or the regular old kind if you don't feel comfortable with eccentric turning. It's okay to me. This part I don't like very much. There are two parts I don't like very much. This is one of them. You have to, particularly this part of it, the inside, the underside of the handle, you have to sand it. And the reason you have to sand it is it's a pain to get at later. The outside of the handle is not as big a deal. and this hurts. I have arthritis in my fingers, and you can only get one in there. And it whacks you. It whacks me. I expect you could with a little bit of foam on it, you know, like 1/8 of an inch of foam, just to give it a tiny bit of, yeah. And so I did 150, and this is 220. It's all I did, those two. I did them to 220. And I think they look okay. You know, the oil is forgiving. Okay. Putting it at the opposite side. Oh, that won't work. Okay, here we go. Now, immediately you see one of the real problems here is if you squeeze very hard, it breaks, right? Okay, so what's going to happen is as I make cuts, each one of them creates a shock, right? Which bruises or dents the wood at this end, and so I have to keep tightening it. What'll happen is I'll be cutting it, it will quit going around, and that means I have to tighten this a little bit. What's happened is the tailstock point is not driven in very far, and as it dents, I have to push it in a little further, a little further. If you do it all at once, I think it'll break it. Okay. Like that. You have to turn watching the shadow at the top. That's where your shape is. A good practice for this, if you haven't done something like it before, is to turn a piece of wood without rounding it first. So you still have the square piece of wood, and it teaches you not to press your bevel hard. Got a little thinner than I wanted, but you know, hey. One of the problems with making, you know, like this part thin right here is now you have to make the rest of it thin. Doesn't that make sense? There you go. Now, when I get done with this, I'm going to put it back on the lathe the way it was the very, very first time so that I can turn the sphere as close as I can to round. I personally have to stop it frequently to find out what shape I'm creating. Okay, do the front part. You have to remember the second and third laws. I mean, this isn't really a vessel, so it doesn't have an inside, but this still acts like one. This is actually the part of it that I'm least happy about with the design-wise. I really don't like how cleanly this lip right here. Okay, we'll do it that way. This portion right here. I really want it to be cleaner, and I'm not finding ways to, oh, there we go. Wrong one. There we go. Well, you can't see much. I want them to be, I don't know what to call, neater. And I'm also trying to avoid handwork. Say what? More soupy. Yeah, more scoopy. I'm going to cut a little more there. I'm also going to go to a finer tool. What I'm going to do is finish this with a skew, which doesn't make me happy at all. Not only am I not very good at it, but the interrupted surface is problematic with a skew. What do you think? One more cut? What's the worst that could happen? Okay. Which one do you think? Which one do you think? The right one? You're crazy. Oh, all right. There it is. I'm not feeling very good about that. I think one more cut. I'm going to go back to my regular one. Is that all right with you? Okay. Okay, that's pretty close right there. You notice how often I turn the lathe off when I get down here to the nitty-gritty? The lathe never complains. It doesn't care. Okay. Okay, there we go. Now, I'm going to also refine my curve a little. You can't touch it very much, but you can touch it a little. Okay. I'm going to sand it again. Now, one of the things you have to think about when you're sanding this part is you have literally a little blade going around the corner. And so if you dip the sandpaper inside of it, it will just cut the sandpaper off. And so what you do is bend it like that so it only touches the center part of the sandpaper. Oh, yeah. See? Okay. And so I'm going to put it back between centers, the place where I started it. That can't be right, can it? There we go. Think that makes a difference? If I want what? Yeah. Well, it'd be round when I was done. Okay, I no longer need this front part. I can remove all of it if I want. Part of the reason I want it out of the way is it makes it easy to get that side round. Now, this is something I didn't do at the very beginning, but I've started liking. Which you can see. There you go. See how it's wide on the back? That's acceptable. But I think it's too wide up here at the front. But I didn't have a good way to take that off. And so what I do is this. Look what happens. I like that a little better. Makes it a little rounder, a little nicer to the finger. Don't have to have a perfect circle. Our method of holding is forgiving. One of the biggest things I got from Eli Avacera. And one of the big things I got from him is not to use the normal jam chuck. And so it solved that whole problem about how to hold it. Not very round, is it? I can't hear. Yeah, the yellow flute, yeah, it helps. It reminds you as you're cutting that this is caution. Yeah. Now you could make a what do you call it? A template, and get your circle real close. But I'm not excited about it. Okay, let's think about what we got. What? No. There it is. That's the part I don't like. Right there, that little crease. We'll go back to our skew here to finish that little corner. Okay. You know the rule about cut fast, sand slow. You know, you run the lathe real fast when you cut and slow it down when you sand. Well, you don't do that in demos. Okay, now I'm going to reduce the nib up front here to essentially nothing. Normally what I do is remove that with the sanding disc before I do the next step, but I just had this wild idea, and we're going to see if we can just leave it on. Oh, let's do one more thing for the fun of it. Let's see what happens. I want to reduce the back of the handle a little. You still okay? Yeah. So we don't have to do it later. I think one more cut. Okay. I finished this with a disc. A hard-backed, fairly coarse disc first, and then a soft-backed, finer grit. And then I use my normal hands, or instead of hand sanding, I use a dual-action orbital sander to do the hard work, the final sanding. Now, I have two choices on how to do the next piece. And a lot of it depends on the diameter of the piece. I lost it. This is actually the better of the two methods. It has a problem in that it's almost maxed out now. I don't actually know if I can get this in it or not. But the alternative is this, and these are tower jaws made by One Way. When I purchased them, I really wanted the kind that, a One Way has a little double lobe on the inside of each jaw. And then when I put this inside, those lobes twice on each jaw would be touching this, and that's very efficient. What this does is this only touches in the corners, and that's inefficient. I'm going to try this one, see what we can get away with. And this is the big deal that I got from Evie, was this, or Ali Evastera, yeah, was this. He used nylon, he used ultra-high molecular weight plastic, and I used nylon when I made mine, but it works pretty good. Let's see what this does. I cut some tubing, fairly thick. And you have to get down to at least halfway up the sphere. There it is. We aren't quite there. Now, the advantage of using this chuck over the other one is I can make my handle go 90 degrees. Remember the ones that had the little bitty opening in the top? Those are done in this chuck, and this back end hits the jaw, and so you end up having to put it in like that, which makes the opening smaller and smaller. This here is rut gut wood turning. It's real close. What do you think? What do you think? One more. Okay, it's on the edge, but I really prefer doing it this way. I think it's enough. You all bought your baseball helmets, didn't you?
We all signed waivers.
Waivers, I like those. The reason I have to switch is the post on that one's too tall. And it's fairly important you get right down to the center on this. I also forgot my calipers. That's really the primary reason I blow these up is no calipers. Okay, what do you think? There it is. Okay, I lied. Anybody finds the rubber parts? Okay. What?
That one's split.
No, it didn't.
Oh, they were here.
Plastic in the face. Okay, I don't think there's any way to make that better. What can we do? What can we do? So I do have some thinner ones. Where are you going? Okay, well, what we know is if that one is too small, the next one's work. And I have to go cut the nibber off. We all know what a nibber is, right? I have to go cut this front end off. I'll be right back. What? Yeah.
Jokes now. I have a couple things. Did you know that KCWT, our club, has a YouTube channel? I don't know exactly what it is or how you get to it. Do you just search KCWT? It's on you. Link to it on the website. There's also a link on the website if anybody missed or wants to see again the makers video of our club that KMOS TV did. It is linked on the website as well. And an announcement that I forgot was, but it's coming up in March. I just wanted to let you know we're going to participate in the KC Excellence Show on March 13th and 14th. It's extended beyond just wood. It's fiberglass, any kind of craft maker type item. They'll have categories for everybody, but we'll get a little more information out to everybody, but it's coming up in March, so it's not too far down the road, and we have participated, I think, the last 2 or 3 years straight in that.
Those, I think. Okay, so you see how I can't run the handle in straight? You guys did get to witness the first time I blew one out of the chuck, though. That was kind of fun.
Like Bruce says on the tape.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Okay. Obviously, I have to be a lot further from the chuck.
Spin the chuck.
So I don't know if you can see it. No, you can't. But there's only a small window in here that the tool can fit, and that's why the opening gets smaller in these. Yeah. I don't think I brought the hollowing tool. I'll have to look. Okay. There it is. You hear it? That's how big it can be, the opening. What happened was I was touching the handle with the tool. So I am going to have to, if I brought it, I'm going to have to use the hollowing tool to get thin enough. Hey, Mike, did you bring any Band-Aids? Okay. Well, this is another one of those rock gut moves here. So can you see? No, you can't. Oh. Right here. That, I'm going to cut some of that away. I don't know. I never thought of it. I don't. I went through a period where I tried that for a while, Forstner bits, and I actually bent my tailstock. I was using it for deep, narrow boxes. And so now, when I go like this, it goes. And so I'm not real excited about that. Okay, that's good enough. Ooh, look what I got. I have a hollowing tool made by Kevin Neely. I don't want to hit the handle on the other side. On that side. All right. Let's see how far down that goes. Yeah, we got a lot of room. It's a 1/2 inch round nose scraper. I've ground the side a little far back, but that's not necessary. It's just my habit. Early on I used it as to cut the mortise on boxes. You have to have a straight part, and so I use that to cut the side of the mortise. So we're flying by the seat of our pants a little bit here. Don't know exactly how thick the bottom is. Yeah, the Band-Aid? Yeah. Well, I don't need it yet. The dogwood's quite hard. When I got it, it had a choke chain on it. So, a retriever, yeah. Actually, that shows bad form to have a retriever. Okay, so since I don't have my caliper, I may leave the bottom of this a little thick. I'm just going to finish it. It's close. I don't think I'd ever. Oh, can I take it out and put it back in with it? Yeah, the same way. I don't think so. Yeah, I think just one more, don't you? Ooh, that's wrong. When you hear the real high-pitched sound, that means you're done. Okay. It's okay. I like the way the handle works. Probably the opening's still a little too small. You could put your aperitif in it. Okay. Are there any questions? I really did make those without blowing them up, those other ones. The rest of it, you just have to take this off. You have to sand the front. You could do this. Sand it. Yeah, at an angle like this, so that it would be open. But you see, then you'd have to have your thickness the same. Yeah. And I don't have any good way to measure this, and I don't think I've ever gotten it that close. Can you? Thin to win, yeah. Yeah. So calipers are a good thing to have. It's a wormhole, right? Right. I don't have any more.
Thank you, Anthony. I don't think I've ever seen that demonstrated. So that was excellent to see, and I love the way you make it up on the fly, because that's the way we do so many things in the club. Anthony, you are. It's your responsibility to name the challenge for next month. So
Just a scoop, any kind.
any kind of scoop.
Scoop.
Well, I think it was kind of funny when he threw it off the thing. I don't know if that was his joke.
Scoop. I haven't got any, man. You have to do those at the start.
He's drained.
Yep.
These demos are draining. I know that for a fact. Thank you, Anthony.
Uh-huh.
That was fun, and like I say, different than anything I've ever seen demonstrated here. So we appreciate it, and you guys that are going to be in that class, good luck. I think we'll